Are you making plans and doing things that support those plans? Or are you just calling witnesses and hoping for the best, not knowing what it is you're trying to prove? Let's talk about a corner of your mind. I want to tell you a little something about the work I used to do before I started my coaching practice, before I really got into this work. I was a capital defense trial lawyer. And if you know anything about that work, you know that most of the cases that land on your desk, by every measure, are what everyone would call impossible. The facts are bad, the odds are worse, and the system is not designed for the outcome that you are really hoping for. And still, you got to go into it believing. You have to cultivate a sense of belief, a willingness to believe. You, you're not acting blindly or naively, but you have to keep a corner of your mind open to a different possibility. You have to decide and define victory on your own terms. And that has to be your entry point. There has to be a decision for an entry point. And that is your thread, your way through. Because the moment you close that corner, the moment that you decide that it's already over, well, then it is. So, the truth is, I have won some cases that thought everybody, by everyone, all concerned, were impossible, that could not be won. I have won some cases as well, and I've lost some too. I've lost cases that I thought I should have won, and that has been very painful. But you have to go into every courtroom having decided in advance that an outcome that you would really love to have is possible for you and for the client. Designing a life that you love works exactly the same way. Before you can build anything, before you can choose anything, you have to decide. You have to keep a corner of your mind open to the possibility that something better is actually possible for you, not for someone else, but for you. You have to decide in this season, in this moment, for you. What could be possible for you? This is my comeback series, and we're talking about designing a life that you actually want to live and not just survive. So let's go. Let's talk about first why most people never actually decide what they actually want. I have noticed this in my years of working with truly brilliant people, capable people. Many people never let themselves know what they actually want, let alone decide what they want. Not really, not in any kind of meaningful way. You could have preferences, wishes, things you say you would choose if you were given this grand menu of life and said, pick anything you want, no consequences. Even then, people have trouble deciding. Deciding is different. Deciding is being willing to believe that you've got what it takes and what you actually want is available to you. That's where many people stop because deciding, that requires that open corner of your mind. It requires you to water the seed of belief, to believe it could be possible, even provisionally, even with your knees shaking and your voice quivering. You have to and let the idea be born in you, a different outcome, something that nobody else can see, is possible for you. And even though you may have been disappointed before, even though you wanted something before and it didn't work out, you have to believe that it's possible this time and watch it and build it in full. Otherwise, that corner will start to close on you quietly until one day you will realize you have turned off your wanter. You don't even want anything, and you've stopped wanting to live a life on purpose. You just react and take whatever is delivered to you as if you're in some grand slop hall, mess hall, cafeteria of life. It's not a character flaw. That's your protection strategy, but it's costing you. And when you decide and stop deciding, then you can start designing. You can start designing a life that gives you life, a life that's not waiting for you to get going, but keeps moving, and you move with it because you've decided, you've chosen to, because you have decided. Deciding requires that you believe that what you want is actually possible for you, available to you. So let's talk about something. Let me ask you a question. When was the last time you made a true decision and not just reacted to what's coming at you from life? That you decided, you didn't accommodate, you didn't adjust, but you decided for what you really want, made a deliberate choice in the direction of a life that you would actually love. If your answer is, I'm not sure, I don't know when the last time I did that. Well, that's okay. That's the starting point. It's what we have to work with for now. So let's just get going. Let's talk about the difference between reacting and designing. Reacting versus designing. When you want to think about change and what could be available to you, I invite you to think about what's going on for you for the next few months of your life. There are two ways to move through a year. You can react to it or you can design it. Reacting looks like this. Something happens, you respond. Somebody needs something, you give it or don't. An opportunity appears and you take it or you don't. A problem shows up and you solve it. That's a functional life. You're capable. You're even, by most measures, kind of doing okay. You're doing well. But that's not exactly acting as the designer of your own life. That's not the author of your own story. You actually are responding to somebody else's script. Designing? Well, designing, that's going to look different. It starts before anything happens. It starts with just a question. What's my intention for the year? Who am I becoming this year? And what does that person's life look like? The person who's becoming that person, well, what kind of decisions are they making? And in order to know who you are becoming, you have to craft a picture. I didn't say the perfect plan. I didn't say a guarantee, but at least decide on a direction. And that direction becomes the filter by which you make your decisions, by which you know this is an it or a not it. And then you know which opportunities to go after, to pursue. and the ones that you will decline. You know what you are protecting. You're protecting your mind. You're protecting your time. You're protecting your calendar. And you're going to know what you're releasing and who you are releasing. You're eliminating the noise, that voice that gets inside your head and questions what's possible for you. You've decided that you're going for it and you're making steps along the way. So let's go back to that courtroom. You know, I never really walked into a courtroom not having a theory of the case, not a wish, but a theory, a clear, coherent picture of where I am going, which has nothing to do with opposing counsel and what they want and what they want to do. I guide that ship and I have decided what I'm building toward and why. With every question, with every witness, with every piece of evidence, it has to serve to get me to the end. It has to get me to the end of what I want to talk about at the end of this trial, what I want to tell the jury this case means. I am approaching it having decided. And your life deserves that same kind of intentionality. What's your theory for your life right now? What would you love? Do you have one? Are you making plans and doing things that support those plans? Or are you just calling witnesses and hoping for the best, not knowing what it is you're trying to prove? Here are 3 questions that can change everything. And they are and can be an entry point for you, a way through. They're not rhetorical. I'd love for you to allow yourself to take a breath after each question. Really stop in answering them. Answer them, and if you're driving, then let them sit in your head. And when you get somewhere where you can write them down, then go write them down. But don't just listen to them. Respond. Because this is where designing a life that you actually want begins. So question 1, what do I want more of? Not what you think you should want. Not what would be really, really impressive to other people. But what do you want in your life right now? More rest? More creative opportunity? More presence with the people that you love? More financial breathing room? More challenges? Or more joy? What do you want? Let yourself answer that question honestly and see what comes up. Maybe it'll surprise you. Question 2, just as important. And it's probably and often is easier to answer and easier, but hard to say out loud. So, question 2, what do you want less of? Less obligation, doing stuff that doesn't align with anything that you actually care about. Less noise, less slow drain that comes down and just sucks the energy out of your life. Less performance, less waiting, less wishing. What do you want less of? This is where you get honest with yourself. What are you wanting less of? And the third question for you, which is a perfect time to ask this question. We are a few months into our new year. What do you want to change this year? This actual year. Not someday, one day, within the next 12 months. Because here's the thing, pick one. And if it shifted, what would be a qualitative change in your life? Would it be an improved relationship or a relationship at all? What decision have you been avoiding, failing to make, failing to decide? A thought that's not been connected with an action. What decision have you been avoiding? What version of yourself have you been refusing to claim for yourself? My God, what needs to change? These three questions are really the start of a design brief. They are what could bring you into a room, any room, that helps you decide who you're going to be and helps you get the real work done. Even if that room is just inside of you, it is the place where decisions get made. Now, what I know to be true is community. Community matters. Community accelerates clarity. Here's what I've learned from working in courtrooms before I ever worked as a coach or with other coaches. You think more clearly sometimes when someone who really is holding your vision with you is also in the room. Not because they have all the answers, but because being witnessed and being heard can change sometimes what you're willing to say out loud. And when you say the real thing out loud, it can become real in your physical experience, in your real life. So sit with those questions in the quiet of your own mind and let the answers come to you in a gentle way. Be kind to yourself and allow yourself to look at the answers and tell yourself the truth and get to the work of designing. Tweak and adjust and don't let yourself talk yourself out of the life that you really want. Once that it's become available to you and you become aware of it, when you set it, then it can become yours. Something will shift. Your answers will become more solid, more yours. And you give yourself permission to have a life that you absolutely love. You build a life that gives you life. That thought becomes a thing, and that thing becomes real. That's what being in community can do for you. It doesn't give you clarity, but it makes clarity available to you when you are with and being held in a place that it's harder to abandon yourself, harder to ignore your own dreams. I've seen it happen over and over again for someone who walked in saying, I have no idea what I even want, and walk out a couple of hours later with real language built around something they have known about themselves and within themselves for years, but they just hadn't let it bubble up. I don't give it to them, but being in a room where everyone is considering these very powerful questions creates a safe environment to take your dreams and desires and ideas seriously. So, I got an invitation for you. Here's your very first act of design. You know, at the very beginning, I said that Designing a life requires you to keep a corner of your mind open to possibility, open to the belief that something different is available to you. And here's what I know. When that corner stays open, you have somewhere to put your ideas and your desires. So I've created something to help you open up that corner of your mind. It's a free life assessment tool, an audio guide specifically for this moment. Before you go on any journey, you have to know where you're starting from. You have to know where you are, not what you wish was true, but where you actually are, and across every area of your life that really matters. Your health, your relationships, your work and creativity, and that sense of freedom. What you're doing with your time, what you're doing with your money, the things that help you resource and create your life. So I'm going to share this audio too with you. It only takes a few minutes. You have a few minutes to devote to true radical honesty with yourself. It will give you more to work with when you know where you are right now. The link is in the show notes. I want you to download it, listen to it, find a quiet place, maybe on a Sunday or a Tuesday that's all yours, and do it like you mean it. That's your first act of designing a life instead of drifting from place to place and between the lanes of a very boring existence. Next week, we're going to talk about what visioning is and why it actually works. We're talking science, we're talking practice, and why it's the most important thing that you can engage in. You're not going to want to miss it. Until then, it's your time to shine. You're ready for the next step. All rise, all shine. I'll see you next week. Take good care.